name is Patrick Blaydes, and we're talking about Forest Hills and Little Forest Hills.
Let's start with Forest Hills. Tell me about it.
I grew up in Forest Hills in the 90s and 2000s. The neighborhood, as I came to know it, was, I guess it started after White Rock Lake was built. It developed as large estate lots. A lot of people had multiple lots that were strung together. The neighbor the old lady who lived next to us when we were growing up, Miss Cook, owned like the entire block and just sold off parcels by parcels. I think there are still a few of those, like the Keller family, the people that have like Keller hamburgers. His family still owns an entire block up there, and they host 4th of July parties. It's really nice.
And then, so what about Little Forest Hills?
I've lived in Little Forest Hills for a few years now. It's kind of a funky little eclectic neighborhood. Again, it developed around the same time that Forest Hills did, but developed as much smaller lake cottages, and then small 2 and 3 bedroom flatboard homes, with that commercial strip up along Garland Road.
Let's just stick to Forest Hills for a while, then we'll go back. So Forest Hills, if you were describing it to someone who had never been to Dallas before, how would you describe it?
It's a nice, heavily treed old neighborhood of Dallas. It's not as prestigious as like Lakewood or Swiss Avenue, but most of the homes are really unique, all individually done. They're all really nice. It's not a huge family area when I was growing up. That may have just been because there weren't a lot of kids there. And, it's a nice quality neighborhood.
What would you say the biggest strength of the Forest Hills is?
There are a lot of people that are really proud to live in Forest Hills. It's a really nice neighborhood. It's right across from White Rock Lake. The neighborhood has fought to not have a whole bunch of street lights and all that type of stuff, kind of polluting have a lot of light pollution. When I was growing up and friends would come and visit me from high school, they'd always be a little bit intimidated because there's no street lights on my street growing up, and most of the streets are kind of like that. So you have kind of this forested area of Dallas, right off White Rock Lake with a lot of nice old homes.
If you could change one thing about Forest Hills and make it better, what would you change?
I don't know. I guess a lot of people kind of keep to themselves because they're big estate lots, and when you have a big house and a big backyard, you kind of tend to keep to yourself a little bit more than usual.
Okay. So you want people to be more personal there? Or?
No, everyone's real nice. It's just it has that identity of a neighborhood where your house is kind of your castle, and everyone's very proud of their homes, and they're really nice houses. But you kind of tend to stay in your house a little bit more than probably.
Cool. So let's jump back to Little Forest Hills. What would you say the biggest strength of that neighborhood is?
The people are really friendly. It's very eclectically different. People who move to Little Forest Hills from outside of Dallas always have this idea that it doesn't feel like they think a Dallas neighborhood feels like. That it's a weird, funky little neighborhood.
What do you mean it doesn't feel like a Dallas neighborhood? Or what do they mean?
A good way to kind of understand it is there are a few streets, residential streets in Little Forest Hills, that are used as cut-through streets through the neighborhood. And most times when neighborhoods in Dallas have these problems, you go and you petition to put up speed bumps or stoplights or street signs or any of that type of stuff. And in Little Forest Hills, the neighborhood has kind of coalesced around the idea of putting in street murals on the streets, painting funky little crosswalks and murals on the intersections as a way to not only make the neighborhood look different and unique, but also kind of to have people kind of slow down and take a look at the neighborhood or take a look at the streets. And that's not usually how neighborhoods in Dallas kind of approach speeding cars.
Yeah. If you could change one thing about Little Forest Hills to make it better, what would you change?
Have some type of neighborhood overlay district or historical district. There's a lot of people in Little Forest Hills that have yard signs that say "Keep Little Forest Hills Little," because there's a number of different new tear downs that are going on, and anytime you tear down a few homes in a neighborhood, it's okay. But then when it becomes more of the norm, you start to question the integrity of the neighborhood, and what makes it, unique and eclectic is going away a little bit, maybe.
Anything else you want people to know? Like just one thing you'd really want people to come away knowing about both Forest Hills and Little Forest Hills?
I wouldn't say there's one thing in particular. They're both, great neighborhoods. I grew up in one, and I plan on raising my kids in another one. So, they're great places to live in a really nice area.